Continuing on with my discussions about all things chemical warfare, this is Spy Magazine from April of 1992, volume 6, number 6. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I think that's volume 6, number 6. But either way, Spy Magazine from April of 1992. This has an interesting article about, let's see if I can find it quickly here, on page, I believe it's 42 here, called Badlands. This was written by John Connely with Eric Regally. How did a former CIA man take over a tribe of impoverished Indians near Palm Springs? Now, this article, this is worth hunting down this Spy Magazine for this article, because this gets into allegedly some of the material from the octopus story of Danny Casolaro, anybody who's looked into that. But the idea here was, this was a kind of a CIA faction. I don't know if that's what the best way to refer to it, but had basically moved in on the Cabazon tribe, Indian tribe reservation out in California, and were using the loophole of tribal land to produce illegal weapons that were banned under international treaties, such as chemical and biological weapon bans and stuff like that. So they were using tribal land for production facilities of some of this stuff and illegal research, and using the tribal sovereign loophole to do that. Now, I find this really interesting in light of, again, the revelations this week of, I think it was upwards of like 30 chemical weapons labs or biological labs taken over by Russia, moving into the eastern Ukraine, and they have allegedly secured something on the order of like 30 biological weapons labs that they claim were manufacturing ethnically targeting chemical weapons, which is huge. That is a huge claim to make. But as I explained in my other video about the military journal, the Military Review Journal from 1970, the goal of creating ethnic specific or ethnic targeting weapons, both lethal and non-lethal, is a goal that goes back decades. That is not a new concept. In fact, those of you curious about this sort of thing, look up Project Coast. That was a project by the apartheid South African government. The white minority was working on chemical weapons to use to subdue the black majority. And that was something called the Project Coast. And that program came out, the details of that came out during the Truth and Reconciliation hearings in the 90s. So again, this is not crazy imaginings of conspiracy theorists. This is very real stuff that has been researched and pursued by very criminally insane people for quite some time now. But anyway, this is a really good article in Spy Magazine about that, the Cabazon tribe, and that the use of, and I think this is important to note in light of the alleged discoveries in Ukraine, the idea that you would use these other sovereign nations as a proxy for producing your chemical weapons, so that you yourself can keep your hands clean and say, no, we're following the treaties on chemical weapons bans. I believe it was a 1972, treaty on that. So anyway, fascinating stuff. If you're interested in that, it's definitely worth looking into. Spy Magazine, April 1992. And I've got a lot of good periodicals like this I'm going to dig out here and go through, because any of you who are serious about digging into this stuff, I highly recommend looking into some of this, because it really helps put some of the pieces together about some of the chemical weapons programs and about some of the cattle mutilation stuff that happened in the Southwest and possibly still happening as it pertains to weapons research. So anyway, Spy Magazine from April of 1992. The article is by John Connely, and it's called Badlands. So there you go.